We're conducting a forensic audit of what seems to be raw intelligence. The document is titled Black File 001 Protocol 2027.
And this is in theory. The file reads like a tactical map, a blueprint.
The tone is urgent, and it has to be. The sources we've synthesized point to the global operating system preparing for a total reset, and they're all circling one date, 2027.
Right at the start, the file hits you with what it calls the paradox of contained panic.
Which is?
Think about the two pillars of Western reality. You have the U.S. Senate on one side and the Vatican on the other.
Right, the state and the church.
Exactly. Why are both of them the oldest religious server in the West and the most, let's say, pragmatic political body, suddenly making these massive coordinated investments?
Not in debt or geopolitics, but in what they're now openly calling non-human intelligence, NHI.
That's the paradox. It suggests they're not just reacting to a threat, they're preparing the population for something they know is unavoidable.
So our mission here is to audit that preparation, to map out the digital trap they seem to be building to manage the coming chaos. What's the first signal?
The first signal is historical. It shows this is a coordinated strategy, not just some new phenomenon.
Let's start with the Vatican, then. The file calls it the oldest server in the West. Their power isn't just faith, it's control of the archive, which brings us to the chronovisor.
And we have to be clear here, forget the sci-fi depiction. According to sources cited from within the Vatican's own history, the chronovisor was a quantum decoder.
Well, what?
It operated on the premise that every wave of light, every sound, leaves a permanent electromagnetic footprint in the ether.
So time isn't lost. It's recorded. It's a fixed archive.
Precisely. And if time can be tuned into, then that's basically non-secular validation for the simulation theory. The past becomes data on a hard drive.
And if you control access to that drive, you control the narrative. I can see why they'd shut that project down. Or claim to.
But the cover-up wasn't just theoretical, it was physical. We're all programmed to think of Roswell, 1947. Right.
The file says the real starting gun was 14 years earlier. The Magenta incident. Italy, 1933.
In Italy.
A non-human craft crashed near Milan. Mussolini himself handled the investigation, even formed a secret group to study it, the Gabinetto RS-33.
Wait, so who was in this group?
The file suggests Guglielmo Marconi was possibly involved.
The inventor of the radio. The man who mastered global communication was reverse engineering a UFO for Mussolini.
That's what the intelligence points to.
Yeah.
And here's the smoking gun, the link to the Vatican. After World War II, as the fascist regime was collapsing,
Okay.
Pope Pius XII acted as the broker. He personally facilitated the transfer of this captured technology from Italy directly to American intelligence. The OSS, the precursor to the CIA.
So the Vatican secured its seat at the table by brokering the single most valuable asset on the planet.
And they're still watching the door today. Look at the LUCIFER instrument in Arizona.
The name alone is something, but why are they using it to look in the dark? That's the key. They're not scanning in the visible spectrum. It's an infrared scanner. They're looking for residual heat signatures. Biological or technological.
So they're looking for things that are cloaked, cold objects in the void.
Things that don't want to be found.
All right, so that's the Vatican note. Let's pivot to Washington. We have what the file calls legislative panic happening right now. The Schumer-Rounds Amendment.
This is the government confessing in legalese. For the first time, they use the official legislative process to define non-human intelligence, NHI, and technologies of unknown origin.
They're creating legal definitions.
You don't legislate in a vacuum. They are legally acknowledging that there is an entity and there's hardware that is not human-made.
And the most aggressive part of that amendment was the attempt to invoke eminent domain.
To forcibly seize this material from private aerospace, from companies like Lockheed Martin.
You don't add that language to the Federal Register unless you know for a fact the hardware is real and someone is hoarding it.
It's a confession. They know it's out there, and they want it under centralized control before the deadline.
Which brings us back to 2027. If they kept this secret since 1933, why the frantic rush now? Why this date?
The file calls it the inoculation theory. Intelligence has calculated that some kind of event or convergence is coming in 2027 that they simply cannot hide.
So all the leaks, the Navy videos, the whistleblowers, that isn't disclosure.
No, it's preventive panic management. They're giving society small, controlled doses of the truth now to stop the whole system from shattering when the full revelation hits.
That's why the file distinguishes between two dates. 2026 is the bifurcation point.
The moment of internal choice. For you, for the system. But 2027 is the external manifestation. That's the storm arriving, the event they can't cover up.
Okay, so if the storm is coming, the ultimate control mechanism isn't going to be military, it's going to be cognitive. It's about exploiting our own limitations.
Exactly. The system's greatest lever is our own design flaw, our biological page.
Which brings us to the most common sense question, the one you're probably asking right now. If all this is real, why don't we see them? Why aren't they on the news every night?
Because you are, and I mean this quite literally, biologically unequipped to see them. Your entire reality is filtered by your receiver.
And the number in the file is just,
Yeah.
it's staggering. The human retina only decodes 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Just think about that. Over 99.99% of reality, all the radio waves, cosmic rays, potentially other dimensions, other entities, is passing through you right now, and you have zero biological hardware to process it. The limitation isn't out there. It's in here.
And it goes deeper. The file brings in Donald Hoffman's work at UC Irvine, the interface theory.
Which argues that what we do perceive isn't even the truth. It's a simplified functional lie. Evolution doesn't care about truth. It cares about fitness, survival.
So, explain that. The chair I'm sitting on right now, it's not real.
It's real as a functional icon, but it's not fundamental reality. Hoffman's point is that processing the raw quantum data of a tiger is thermodynamically too expensive for your brain. It takes too long. You'd be dead.
So evolution just shows me a simple orange and black danger icon, so I run.
Exactly. It's the desktop metaphor, what you call space-time. This room, the sky. It's all an interface. It's the Windows desktop that hides the trillions of lines of code and voltages underneath.
Designed by our own DNA, our chromosome 2, to keep us alive.
Right. So these UAPs, these anomalous phenomena, they're not spaceships burning rocket fuel.
They're glitches in the rendering.
They're operators from outside our desktop poking through the screen. And that is the real danger of the 2027 glitch. It's not an alien invasion. It's a forced system update. The interface itself is about to shatter.
And the file is very clear on the outcome. Mass, unmediated exposure to raw reality. It's not enlightenment.
It's mass psychosis, the shock of discovering you've been living in a simplified simulation, and then suddenly you see the code. You see the programmer.
So chaos in 2027 is a given. The system knows this. The final part of this audit has to be mapping how they plan to weaponize that chaos, how they build the Lulu, the digital slave state.
They know that a terrified population will trade anything for the promise of safety. That external chaos becomes the perfect excuse to lock down the digital enclosure they're already building. And they're doing it with 3 specific vectors.
Vector 1, control of money, programmable CBDCs, central bank digital currencies.
You eliminate physical cash, you eliminate all financial privacy, period. Money is no longer yours. It becomes a state-issued coupon.
A coupon they can program. So they could literally stop you from buying gasoline because of your carbon footprint or make your savings expire to force spending.
Or just freeze your account for political dissent. They get a kill switch for your economic life.
Vector 2, control of the narrative, the Ministry of Truth.
They're building it with legislation like the Digital Services Act, the DSA. If the screen shatters and the official story doesn't hold, they need the power to erase any competing narrative.
So they don't burn books anymore.
They just shadow ban you, deplatform you. They make your version of reality functionally invisible.
In the final piece, the thing that ties it all together, biometric identity wallets.
It's sold as convenience, of course. Your health data, your money, your ID, all in one place. But what it really creates is a single point of failure.
A single switch for what the file calls civil death.
One click. They decide you're a problem, and they can remotely disconnect your access to society, to health, to finance, to travel.
So that's the assimilation pact they'll offer us in 2027. Trade your freedom for a guaranteed universal basic income, paid in their programmable money, and you get infinite entertainment inside their digital walls.
Which brings us to the final section of the audit. How do you avoid becoming an NPC in this script? The solution isn't to run for the hills, it's hacking the cage, a process the file calls tikkun.
Which means correction or repair.
Yeah.
How do you become a sovereign cyborg?
By using technology to overcome our biological blindness, but retaining absolute self-custodied control over it. And that requires action right now.
Starting with financial sovereignty.
Non-system maneuverability. You have to hold some assets they can't just turn off. Physical cash. Precious metals. And crucially, Bitcoin in real cold storage. Self-custody. Not on an exchange, where you, and only you, hold the keys.
Next, you have to be able to read the map. Informational sovereignty.
This means you stop letting an algorithm tell you what's true. You build small, direct trust networks. You learn to recognize patterns, historical collapses like 1177 BC, the cycles of engineered crisis. When the chaos hits, you'll see signals, not just noise.
And finally, the most critical domain, given everything we've discussed about the interface, cognitive sovereignty.
If reality is an interface, and your body is biologically blind, then the only true correction, the only tikkun kun is internal. It's the self-custody of your attention. You have to control your internal archive, because it's the only domain they haven't centralized yet.
The system, the Vatican, the Pentagon, the global elite, they've done the math. They have a strategy. Protocol 2027 is their plan.
And the legislative panic, the controlled leaks we're seeing right now. But you have to understand, this is just the inoculation.
So, if this inoculation, this slow drip of truth and the quiet construction of digital cages, looks this jarring, what does the full, unmitigated viral load of Protocol 2027 actually look like when the screen shatters?
The clock is running down to the bifurcation point. Are you waiting for the news, or are you securing your internal archive?